children. If you try to force them, it ain't going to work. You have to cooperate with them. So you're a team. You're a team. It's not just you and a tractor, right? You get on it and it does what you want. No, you have to work along with them. So you adjust yourself. And then when you're living in that kind of culture, of course, planting to get 10,000, 20,000% rate of return, you have to do everything in a timely way. Right? If you don't plant at the right time, then the rain doesn't come at the right time. If you plant by the moon, the rain comes right after. It's always like that. So you have to plant at the right time. You have to cultivate. You have to harvest. You have to maintain the crops. So this is, again, sattva gun. So this culture, this simple culture, allows us, it forces us to come to sattva gun. And this is the value of it. And the economics of it are very wonderful. It's opulent. It's great opulence. But the opulence is not in terms of money that you go and spend in Rajagun. It's opulence in terms of things that you can use and you feel secure. Plus your work is limited. If you're growing potatoes and you're living subsistence economy, how many potatoes do you have to plant? Well, enough to get you until you have potatoes next year, right? Would you plant more than that? Maybe a little bit in case of failure, okay? Or in the olden days, you plant 25% extra for the king for his tax, right? But that's it. Your work is limited because your needs are limited. But if you're planting potatoes for money, how many potatoes do you plant? Unlimited, right? We want more, right? This is Rajagun. Then you plant more potatoes, you have no time. Then you've got this problem of, I've got to get the potatoes to market. You got all these headaches that you don't have when you're simply living a subsistence economy. So this is spiritual economics. This is the economy that's given by Krishna for the health and security of human society. And modern people have gotten away from that because modern society is not created by people of sattva gun. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, Krishna explains that there's two kinds of people in this world, the divine and the demonic. And in that chapter, there's a statement. Krishna's speaking for the asuras. So much is mine today, and I will get more according to my schemes. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and I will kill my other enemy as well. So, they're very good at this. They're very clever people. They have a lot of schemes. So we are all using money, right? I didn't bring any money with me. Who has some money? I need some money. Some paper. Just one person. I need 2 bills. What do you got?
2 5s.
No, I need a 5. Give me another one. A 5 and a 1. Okay. So, we have here one $5 bill and one $1 bill. This one is worth 5 times as much as this one. Why? It's not 5 times as much paper, they're exactly the same size. So why is this one worth 5 times as much as this one? Come on. Can't hear you. Yeah. Yeah, we believe it. You're very good. Usually takes a long time to get around to that, no? Because we accept it. Huh? The government says, oh, this one's 5, this one's 1. Actually, they're both pieces of paper. They're not worth anything. They're paper. But this one is worth 5, this one is worth 1, so we all say, yeah, okay, 5 and 1. Or 50 and 1, or 20 and 1, like that. But what gives them value is that we agree that they have value, right? If you go down to the local store, to get a gallon of milk, and you say, here, I give you some paper, here's a lot more paper, this is just a little bit of paper, here's a lot more, 5 or 6 pages, and take this paper. No, they're not going to work, right? They want this paper. Because why? Because they've gotten us all to agree. So they're very clever people. So much is mine today, and I will get more according to my schemes. So where does this paper come from? They print it at the United States Mint, but it doesn't come from there. Where does it come from? It comes from the Federal Reserve Bank. This is called the Federal Reserve Note. All of them are called notes. What's a note? How many of you have a mortgage? So you sign a note for your mortgage, right? Note is a promise to pay. So this note means that the Federal Reserve promises to pay. It used to be written on it that you could exchange this paper for $1 in silver or $1 in gold, even before that. It doesn't say that anymore. So the meaning of note, they took that off, that you can exchange it, but they left note on there. So what's their promise for? It's for nothing. Huh? It's an empty promise. Now, who owns the Federal Reserve Bank? Many people would say, well, it's the United States government. But that's not correct. It's actually a privately owned bank. It's owned by private individuals, mostly Europeans, who have the prerogative to loan money to the United States government. So they create the money from where? Out of thin air. They loan it to the government of the United States, and the United States government is supposed to pay that back with interest. That's a pretty good scam, right? So much is mine today, and I will get more according to my schemes. Now we have the United States government paying them approximately $350 billion a year in interest. Billion. That's a lot of money. You can do a lot with. And the thing is that not only do these people own the Federal Reserve Bank, they own the reserve banks of all the countries in the world. It's a fact. Except for the axis of evil. Remember that? George Bush, he talked about the axis of evil. There was North Korea, Libya, Iraq, Iran, Syria. Why were they the axis of evil? Because their bank is not controlled by these guys. And so George Bush said, you're with us or you're against us. And they wouldn't capitulate, so what did we do? Went to Libya, Syria, Iraq. Iran's next on the list if Hillary gets elected. She stated, if I'm elected president, I will make war on Iran. So, these are demons. This is demonic. Krishna states it very plainly in Bhagavad Gita. If anything, it's an understatement. They are much, much worse than what Krishna states there. And all for what? To increase or enhance their consciousness of I and mine. So much is mine today, and I will get more according to my schemes. So these are the people that created this world that we live in now. They've arranged it in such a way to be able to suck your energy without you even knowing it. Every time we use this stuff, every time we go to the store and spend money, we become poor and they become more wealthy. Because every product involves some debt, right? You have a company, you borrow money, you pay back with interest. So there's debt service included in the price of those products. So it's all going on without our even knowing it, which is their genius. They're very clever, intelligent people. But their system works against the interests of all the people of the world. It doesn't allow us to have time, right? They adjust things in such a way so that we don't have time. You have to work too much. You don't have time for your family. You don't have time for coming to morning class, Bhagavatam, chanting japa. We're not given that prerogative. They're sucking all of our energy. So this is the difference between demonic culture in Rajagun and Tamagun and a culture given by Krishna in Sattvagun. So we have to think about, there's a lot of people actually thinking about this situation, especially after the 2008 economic crisis. There's a lot of people trying to figure out, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to do things different? Why do these people get the prerogative to print money? And they decided, well, we'll print our own. Well, so I got some of that. Hare Krishna. Here, this is from moneyenlightened.com. 2 different bills that they printed. Coupons, they call it. Coupons that are not destroyed through use. This is very tough plastic kind of material. And they use these, they try to put these in circulation for people to use. Instead of the central bank giving money, they just print their own. Why not? We can do that. There's more than 2,000 private currencies in circulation around the world. We can do that. You can do that in this temple. You've got enough members in this temple to actually institute such a thing. And it's good for the local economy. A local currency is actually very good for the local people because the money will stay in the community and not leave. If you use these, as soon as you go into the store and spend the money's gone. Then you've got to bring money in again. So it has to be this constant exchange of money. They call it the velocity of money. How fast does it circulate? And if there's money, if there's enough money, people will spend it. It will circulate. Here's another one. These are some bills. This is a 50, a 100, and a 500. These were printed by a Russian businessman. He had a big company and he couldn't pay his employees, so he created this private money to give them that they could use until he can get his funds. And on the back of this, you can see, I don't know if you can see, there's a scale that's going down gradually, which means that on a certain date, this money loses part of its value. The result of that is nobody wants to be holding the money when it's going to get lower in value. So they spend it. So the velocity of money speeds up, and what do you get? You get wealth. You get an opulence. People, they work harder, they get more money, they spend it. And it works very nicely. There was a town in Wurgel called Wurgel, Germany during the Depression. No, maybe it was Austria. During the Depression in the 1930s. And they decided that they were going to create some money like this of their own. And they did that, and the velocity of money was going very quickly, and Wurgel became very prosperous in a very short period of time. So much so that other countries were coming to see what is this experiment they're doing, and people were coming there from all over Austria and Germany. But then when the government found out about it, they put a lid on it. No, you can't do that. You can't solve the problem independently. Will keep you in suffering. Which goes to prove that the Depression was created deliberately for a purpose. Just like the 2008 economic crisis was created deliberately for a purpose, to take everybody's houses away, to take their businesses away. So, This is created by demons. This is created by people. They work in different ways. So we can't go immediately from this Rajagun up to Suddha-sattva. Even it's difficult to go to sattva. But we can go to a more sattvic currency. If we put our heads together and think about what we're doing and how we live in the world. We want to get to the point of sattva gun. We want to bring this world to the point where it can function in sattva. And so we have to think about that. We have to be conscious about how we're living. We have to see how do we apply Bhagavad Gita in the world where we're living today. So this means being a little conscious about how things are working and why. So I've written my book, Spiritual Economics. You can pick up a copy. Tonight we have them in the back of the room. In any case, I'll stop there. We can have some discussion. Where's our traveling microphone? Here. What are you looking for? He's got it. I don't need it. Give him a minute to think. They need a minute to think.
Thank you, Maharaj. So, I came from a village, and when I used to grow up, at least until my
Speak up.
Until my 20 years of age, I used to do farming. My father does the farming.
Uh-huh.
The way the village used to be then, now it's totally different. So, as you said, like there was everybody was there for everybody. Now
there was what?
Everybody is there for everybody in the village, like any occasion or anything.
Yeah.
Now it's totally upside down. So my question, or at least I'm looking for some advice in, I came all over the way here to do something, and now it's a difficult thing to, I saw that and I saw this, but now if I really want to go back to there, it's even tougher, because either there's no, farming is still there, but it's not bulls anymore, it's full tractors and it's all kinds of stuff. So
yeah.
What would be the transition for a devotee? Like, how do we take baby steps to get there? We
have to, you came a little late. I was asking right at the beginning, who grew up in a village? So I wish you would have been here. Have you read Bhakti Vikas Maharaj's Glimpses of Traditional Indian Life? Have you read that book? You should read this book. It explains exactly what you've just said from the perspective of other devotees. Sit down. And so what we're observing, what you observe, what we're seeing in Ladakh and other places. Oh, I didn't finish the Ladakh story. So in Ladakh, they after some time in the 60s, no, in the 70s or 80s, they started allowing foreigners to come in. And this was the beginning of the end for their peaceful life. When, like I said, when Helena at Norberg Hodge got there, she asked, where are the poor people? They said, there are no poor people. But then when the tourists started coming, they would spend more money in one day than a Ladakhi could earn in an entire year. So by comparison to them, they started feeling poor. Oh, they've got more money than I have. Right? And they'd come with their sunglasses and their blue jeans and all these things that the Ladakhis didn't have. And, of course, this is the influence of Rajagun. I want more. I want some sunglasses. I want to be cool. I want some blue jeans. So this is the influence of Rajagun coming in. In my book, I'm explaining how this has taken place in many parts of the world, how Rajagun has come in and overwhelmed Sattva Gun, with the result that people are no longer satisfied or happy, but they're dissatisfied and they want more and more and more. So this is what we've experienced everywhere in the world. And so the question then becomes, how do we get back? How do we get there from here? How do we rewind it to go back to what it was before? Well, what are we learning in devotional service? What are we learning from Srila Prabhupada? How do we get satisfaction? Right? How do we get satisfaction? Somebody can give a shloka that explains this? No, not exactly. No. Okay, first canto, second chapter, text number 7. Janayat, what is it? No. Janayat Yashu Vairag. I'm only remembering the last 2 lines. Janayat Yashu Vairagyam Gyanam Chiyata Haitukam. What are the first 2? Anyway, the first 2, I forget. But those last 2 is where the word is. Janayat Yashu Vairagyam. Vairagya. What's Vairagya? Detachment. By performing devotional service, one experiences both causeless knowledge and detachment in the world. Why? Because the devotee becomes satisfied. When you're satisfied, you don't need something else. Just like, right, you eat a nice full meal of prasadam, and they come along, here, have some more, Prabhu. No, thanks, I'm satisfied. Oh, it tastes very good, have some more. Thank you, I'm satisfied, right? It can be, it's very good, but I can't eat anymore, I'm satisfied. So, what modern society does not have is satisfaction. And we know how to achieve satisfaction by chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If we're in the context of a village. In the context of modern society, when we're conditioned by Rajagun through the act of driving our car, through going to the stores with 100,000 products and getting more, very difficult to come to Sattva Gun. So, Prabhupada, he explains, right? It's like trying to start a fire and pouring water on it at the same time. We're chanting Hare Krishna, and what are we getting from it? Are we experiencing Vairagya? We should be. We should be looking for that. And if we're not experiencing Vairagya, we can understand that we're doing something wrong. Krishna consciousness is a science. If you make the experiment properly, you must get the result. That result is peacefulness, satisfaction, detachment from the things of this material world. But we have to, we have to avoid the offenses. We repeat them often, hopefully. And one of those offenses is maintaining material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. The challenge is that modern society forces us to be in Rajagun and Tamagun. And so we're chanting, but we're like the hamster in the wheel, right? Running, 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 and getting nowhere. So this is how we have to become conscious of how we're living. Particularly, most of you come from India, and America is a very different place. It's a place where you can get ahead, you can have opulence, and that's nice. We all like that. But this comes at a price, right? Because all of this opulence, it doesn't make anybody happy. We used to have, many years ago, I haven't seen television in a long, long, long time, but there used to be a show on called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Maybe some of you remember that. And it was all about the movie stars and the very famous people and their big houses and mansions and, dozen cars that they would have and where they would vacation and everything like that. But it would also tell about how these people who had everything, fame, fortune, wealth, that they were unhappy. They become alcoholics, druggies. They would kill themselves. Because these material things don't give us satisfaction. It doesn't serve the actual purpose of life. So this is why Prabhupada wanted us to live simple life. In 1977, he told their leaders, he told them, all the devotees should go to the farm. And the leaders were a little bit taken back by that. But Prabhupada, well, who will stay in the city and preach? Prabhupada said the brahmacharis and sannyasis, they can stay in the city and preach. Everyone else, go to the farm. They didn't follow that, unfortunately. So, here we are in the city, still, 50 years later. So, is it going to be another 50 years before we decide to go to the farm? So you've got a good leader here. He's got a small farm nearby. You can demonstrate there. You've got cows, you've got oxen. You can go there and demonstrate the idea. What is this simple living? How to live simple life and be satisfied. And by this we can show the world sustainability and satisfaction. But we have to get it ourselves. We have to understand that first ourselves. So, to a great degree, this is centered around economics. And therefore, I hope that you'll get my spiritual economics book and read it. And this will give you perhaps a different way of seeing things. A number of devotees have told me, after reading your book, I want to just go back to the village and live a simple life. So, you can get the idea from reading that. Does that answer your question? Okay. Hang on, just relax. They'll put their hand up. Yes, Prabhu. Back here.
Is a barter system is still barter system is a still possibility from Maharaj?
Barter is actually the preferred method of exchange. Money is only a recent invention. Money's only been around for about 2,600 years. And prior to that, people did exchange. Prior to that, there was no market economy as we have now. Now we have market economy where you go and buy. But before that, there was only exchange. There was what they would call today a commodity currency, which would be, say, for example, in India, a kilo of wheat, or here in the United States, in India, a kilo of wheat or rice, here a kilo of wheat and corn. Something that people can use. It has a standard value, right? And so they would trade like this, these commodity currencies, in order to get the things that they needed. So barter is preferred because you cannot cheat in a barter system. It's impossible. But with a money system, there's unlimited cheating going on. The whole stock market is just a big casino. It's created, it's designed to cheat. And if you have any money in the stock market, get it out. It's going to collapse soon. That goes up and down, right? I was working as a stockbroker when I started getting the first ideas about spiritual economics. And when I studied to be a stockbroker, to get my licenses, I could see that the whole thing is just gambling. They want the market to move, and it doesn't matter whether it moves up or down, because when it does, they can make money. If the market doesn't move, then no money is made. So they deliberately try to manipulate it to make it go up and down so that they can skim money. And by their activities, they're pushing up the price of food, and people starve. Back in 2008, there was at least 20 protests around the world that the price of food was going through the roof for many people, and they couldn't eat. Why? There was enough food. There was no scarcity of food, but the whole price was being manipulated by people on Wall Street. So, money system is a cheating system. Barter is the way that nobody can cheat, which is why they don't want it. So much is mine today, I will get more according to my schemes. Wall Street, stock market, this is one of their schemes. Money is another one of their schemes. So they're just trying to enhance the sense of I and mine at everybody else's expense. There's a number of people that are engaged in bartering, especially this developed actually back in 1980, early 1980, when we had high inflation here in America, 15% a year. And so there was high inflation, and so some people, they started barter systems where people could get along without money. Anyway, it'll still work. It always works. This is what happens when there's an economic crash. People turn to barter because everybody has needs and wants.
Hare Krishna. So,
put it to your mouth.
Yeah. In the spiritual economy, is there a concept of saving for the future? Because saving is something that's projected as very, very important. You save for the future. You know, you earn, you spend, and then you save some money. And there is anxiety when you're not able to save.
And what?
There is some anxiety when we are not able to save for the future.
When we're not able to save?
Anxiety. Yeah. That, how will we manage, without money in the future? So there is always that anxiety. So what's the concept of, is there a concept of saving in the spiritual economy? Yeah. And how does it work?
I'll give you the example of the Kalahari Bushmen of Africa. Okay, you've heard of these people? Anybody heard? Yeah. They're nomads, right? They're nomadic people, which means they move around, and they have nothing because they're always traveling, so they don't keep anything. Like me, I have one suitcase. I travel around all the time. That's all I have. So they're like that. They probably don't even have a suitcase. And where do they go? They go from one area they go from one place to another place where they find food. When they find food, they stop and they eat, relax. When the food runs out, they go to the next place. So there was one anthropologist went to visit them, and his name was Marshall Solons, wrote a book about them. And so they came upon this place where there's a lot of opulence, a lot of food. Some of the food ran out, and so they were going to move on. And so he was suggesting to them, well, you still have this other food. Why don't you save this food, put it aside? And they looked at him like he was crazy. Save for what? Save for what? Their experience tells them that there's always something to eat. If they don't find it here, they'll find it there. So you don't have to save. The saving is a statement that I don't believe in God. It's atheism. God is not going to take care of me, therefore I have to squirrel away something to take care of myself. This consciousness develops from a money economy. Because we have to get money from where? From somebody else that has it. I can't get it from God. Right? I have to go to beg somebody, give me a job. And then, because I'm depending on money and not God, therefore I have to save. But saving, you know what they're doing now, of course, they put the interest rate at 0. You put your money in the bank, how much are you going to get? Nothing. So what do? Well, put it in the stock market, because the stock market's going up. And then what do? They crash the stock market and they take all your money. Where's your saving? Gone. Now where are you? Because we depend on the wrong thing. Instead of depending on God, by living in a natural way, in a natural setting, chanting Hare Krishna, so the rains will come, the food will grow, and then we're like the Kalahari Bushmen. Why do we have to save? God will provide for us next year. Food is growing. So, the king, he would save against famine, against war, some kind of disaster. That was his job, to save. He would collect taxes and he would save to protect everyone in case there was a problem. Now, our government doesn't save. They're going, their deficit spending is almost $1 trillion this year, right? So, they're not saving. Spending it, and putting everybody into debt. The debt is so high that each of us owes about $25,000, I think, every man, woman, and child in this country. And to ensure that that debt is going to be paid, the birth certificates of your children that are born here are kept with the Chamber of Commerce. Not with the Department of Statistics. Our children are pledged as collateral to the national debt. We're slaves, but we don't know it. So the happiest slave is the one that doesn't know he's a slave. That's us. Better to put ourselves in a natural condition, depending on the Lord, and living within the system that He created, and then no anxiety. No anxiety about the future. God will provide. So the simple Kalahari Bushmen, the people with nothing, Marshall Solins, he said, these are the original affluent people. Now generally we think of affluence as somebody that's got a lot of what? Money. Because why? Because then I have everything that I need. So the Kalahari Bushmen, they had everything that they needed. They were satisfied. So they were the original affluent people. Something to think about. Anyway, it's getting late. We should stop now. So thank you very much. Tomorrow night, I think we're going to talk about, tomorrow's Friday, right? Tomorrow we're going to speak about self-realization based on Bhagavad Gita. So I hope you'll come on time tomorrow. People coming in later and later, but please try to come on time. We'll explain the whole point of what we're trying to do in Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I have some books in the back.